The first thing you need to understand about humans is that they are insane. Completely, utterly, magnificently insane. I learned this the hard way during the Battle of Turthos Prime, watching their soldiers charge through plasma fire as if it were morning rain. My name is Vrek, and I serve as a tactical analyst for the Galactic Coalition. Or, well, I used to serve with some dignity, before humans showed up and turned everything I knew about warfare into cosmic dust. They are coming again, my squad leader Thorn bellowed, his 3 eyes wide with panic. The human battalions are pushing through Sector 7. We had heard the stories, of course. Every species in the coalition had. Humans did not retreat. Humans did not surrender. They just kept coming, wave after wave, like some terrible tide that refused to acknowledge basic survival instincts. But here's where it gets weird. I was huddled behind a collapsed defense barrier, my breathing apparatus working overtime, when I heard something that made absolutely no sense. Singing. Someone was singing in the middle of a war zone. Is that? I turned to Thorn, who looked just as baffled. Impossible, he muttered. A human medic came running through the crossfire. Not away from it. Through it. She was maybe half Thorn's size, wearing white armor marked with red symbols, and she was dragging a wounded Kraltech soldier who must have weighed at least 300 pounds. The Kraltech was missing 2 of his 4 arms. He should have been dead. Someone want to help me here? The medic shouted, ducking as an explosion showered debris everywhere. This guy weighs a ton. I stared. She was complaining about the weight, while being shot at, while saving someone from a completely different species. Move, move, move. Another human appeared, this one carrying a massive pack on his back. He slid in beside the wounded Kraltech like he was stealing home base in one of those bizarre human games. We've got a bleeder. Multiple penetrating wounds. Vitals are dropping fast. The female medic was already pulling out equipment I had never seen before. Yeah, well, his vitals can get in line. I've got 17 casualties in the staging area and 4 more on the way. This day just keeps getting better. Was she being sarcastic? During a battle? While performing emergency surgery? Vrek! Thorn grabbed my shoulder. We need to fall back. The human advance is too aggressive. They'll overrun this position in minutes. But I couldn't move. I was watching the 2 human medics work on the Kraltech soldier with a speed and efficiency that defied logic. They weren't gentle. They weren't slow. They were brutal, fast, and absolutely confident. Hand me the coagulator, the male medic barked. Which one? The small one or the one that looks like it could jumpstart a shuttle? The big one. Of course it's the big one. Why would we ever use the small one? That would be too easy. The Kraltech groaned, his remaining eyes focusing on the medics. Am I going to die? The female medic laughed. Actually laughed. Not today, buddy. I've already lost 3 patients this month, and my commander will write me up if I lose another. So you're going to live, out of spite. My spite. Now hold still. 3 more explosions rocked the area. Plasma bolts struck so close I could smell the ionization. The medics didn't even flinch. They just kept working. Vitals stabilizing, the male medic called. Good. Because we've got company. The female medic jerked her head toward a group of Thraxian soldiers emerging from the smoke. Heavily armed. Moving straight toward us. I raised my weapon, knowing it was hopeless. Thorn did the same. We were going to die here, along with these insane humans and their patient. Then something extraordinary happened. The female medic stood, placed herself between the wounded Kraltech and the approaching Thraxians, and raised her hands. Not in surrender. In warning. Stop right there, she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. I am a medic. This is a casualty collection point. Take one more step and you violate 17 articles of the Galactic Warfare Convention. The Thraxians paused. Actually paused. We do not recognize your conventions, human. Oh, you don't. She tilted her head. That's funny, because your government signed the treaty in Cycle 43, subsection 12, paragraph 6. I memorized the whole thing during basic training. It was very boring. But you know what isn't boring? Me filing a formal war crimes complaint that ties up your military courts for the next decade. The lead Thraxian's mandibles clicked. You would cite legal procedure? Now, while we could kill you. Try it, she said flatly. But I should warn you. There are about 40 human soldiers heading this way who get really cranky when people shoot medics. And trust me, you do not want to meet cranky human soldiers. As if summoned, weapons fire erupted from our left flank. Human soldiers advanced, angry, loud, and unstoppable. The Thraxians looked at one another, then at the medic, then at the approaching humans. They made a tactical decision. They ran. The medic turned back to her patient as if nothing had happened. Right? Where were we? Oh yes, keeping you alive. Let's get back to that. I finally found my voice. You just faced enemy soldiers with paperwork. She grinned. Buddy, I'm a military medic. I fight enemies with medicine and bureaucracy. Soldiers use guns. Different tools, same result. Nobody dies on my watch if I can help it. The male medic finished prepping the Kraltech for transport. We need to move him to the aid station. Wreck, right? You and your friend grab the stretcher handles. We're going for a run. A run? Through a battlefield. Well, yeah. It builds character. Plus, standing still gets you killed. Let's move. And that is how I found myself running through active combat, carrying a stretcher beside two humans who would not stop joking about my running form. Human soldiers were terrifying, but human medics? They were something else entirely. Something far more dangerous. Because they made you believe you could survive anything. 3 days after the Turthos Prime incident, I found myself assigned to a joint medical evacuation unit. Why? Because apparently, saving one Kraltech soldier made me an expert on human medical procedures. Coalition logic at its finest. The human medic from the battlefield, her name was Lieutenant Maya Grant, greeted me at the field hospital with that same unsettling grin. Hey, it's my favorite running partner. Welcome to the Chaos Factory. The field hospital was not what I expected. I had seen coalition medical facilities, clean, quiet, organized. This place looked like someone had thrown a supply depot into a blender and forgotten to turn it off. Is this up to regulation? I asked carefully. Maya snorted. Regulation? Sure. Regulation says we need to save lives. Check. Everything else is just suggestions. She tossed me a medical pack that nearly knocked me over. Come on. We've got incoming wounded from the northern front. Grab your gear. I am not trained in human medical techniques. Neither was I until 6 months ago. I was a veterinary student. You'll be fine. You were studying animal medicine? Yeah, and now I work on aliens. Same concept, different number of limbs. Let's move. The transport arrived carrying 12 wounded soldiers, humans, Kraltechs, 2 Vilnari, and something I did not even recognize. They were all bleeding. Some were screaming. One human soldier was unconscious, with a piece of shrapnel the size of my arm sticking out of his chest. That one first. Maya pointed at the human with the shrapnel. Delta team, set up for emergency thoracic surgery. Move it. A grizzled human medic named Jack Rivera jogged over, took one look at the injury, and whistled. Well, that's going to be interesting. Wreck, right? Come hold this retractor and try not to faint. I do not faint. Sure, buddy. That's what they all say. Within seconds, they had the soldier on a table and were cutting away his armor. The shrapnel had punctured his lung. I could see it with my own eyes. He should have been dead already. Vitals are dropping, a junior medic called out. Then we work faster. Maya was suddenly right there, hands moving with impossible precision. Jack, I need you to stabilize that fragment while I clamp the bleeder. Vrek, when I say pull, you pull that retractor like your life depends on it, because it definitely does. This is insane. Yep. Welcome to Tuesday. Pull. I pulled. The human medics worked like a machine, each one knowing exactly what the others needed before they asked. There was no hesitation. No doubt. Just action. Got the bleeder. Maya announced. Jack, how's that fragment looking? Stable enough. Ready to extract on your mark. Good. Because we've got about 90 seconds before this lung collapses completely. Extract in 3, 2, 1 now. The shrapnel came out. Blood sprayed everywhere. I may have made an undignified sound. Suction. More suction. There we go. Maya's hands were covered in red, but she never stopped moving. Lung is reinflating. Vitals are coming back up. He's going to make it. The soldier gasped, his eyes flying open. Did we win? Not yet, Jack said, patting his shoulder. But you're going to live to find out. Now shut up and let us finish putting you back together. I stepped back, my limbs shaking. They had just saved a soldier who should have been a corpse. And they were already moving to the next patient. Vrek, Maya called. Stop standing there looking amazed and help me with this Vilnari. She's got a compound fracture, and I need someone with small hands to realign the bone. The next 6 hours were a blur. We treated 47 patients. Lost 3. Maya cried for exactly 90 seconds after the third death, then wiped her face and got back to work. You don't have time to grieve? I asked quietly. I'll grieve later, she said, her voice tight. Right now, there are people who need me. The dead can wait. The living cannot. As the shift finally ended, I found myself sitting next to Jack outside the hospital tent. He was smoking something that smelled toxic. You did good today, he said. I almost vomited 4 times. Only 4? That's pretty good for a first day. I threw up 6 times during my first mass casualty event. How do you do this? I asked. Your soldiers are terrifying because they do not fear death. But you medics run toward death to steal people back from it. That seems infinitely more frightening. Jack took a long drag and blew out smoke. You want to know the secret? We're more stubborn than death. Simple as that. Death says you die, we say not today. Death says it's impossible, we say watch us. Your coalition fights wars with strategy and technology. Humans fight wars with spite. Spite. Pure, concentrated, weaponized stubbornness. Our soldiers refuse to lose. Our medics refuse to let anyone die. It's not courage. It's not bravery. It's just being too angry at the universe to accept failure. Maya emerged from the tent, looking exhausted. Another transport is coming in. 15 minutes out. Multiple critical injuries. Jack groaned. We just finished. Yeah, well, the war didn't get the memo. You coming, or are you going to sit there philosophizing all night? I stood up. My body ached. My mind was reeling. But something had changed in me during those 6 hours. I am coming, I said. Maya smiled. Good. Because I'm going to need someone to hold the retractor again. You've got steady hands for someone who spent half the day looking like they were going to pass out. I told you, I do not faint. Sure, buddy. Keep telling yourself that. As we walked back into the hospital, I realized something the rest of the galaxy had not figured out yet. Human soldiers were dangerous because they refused to quit fighting. But human medics were something far more powerful. They refused to quit caring. And somehow, that made all the difference. The transport landed. The wounded arrived. And we got back to work. Because that was what humans did. They just kept going. No matter what. And now, whether I liked it or not, they had pulled me along with them. Stubborn? Absolutely. Insane? Definitely. But after today, I would not want to serve with anyone else. Even if they did make terrible jokes while performing surgery. Especially because of that, actually. Because if humans could laugh in the face of death while saving lives, then maybe the rest of us could learn to be a little more stubborn too. If this story entertained or taught you something, please like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow and bring you more stories like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next story.